Hi yogis. I wanted to create a video for you about yoga breathing. And before I get to the how of the breathing, I wanted to talk about the why. So in yoga, in the practice of asana, the physical practice of yoga, the breath is of primary importance. It always comes before the movement, and we allow the breath to actually expand and open our physical body, but also to keep us present. If we allow it to, it will also expand the mind, and the breath is what links the mind to the body. So we always establish our breath first, and then we begin to move. And our breath is very much our guide, because if in our practice we notice we might be holding our breath or our breath becomes erratic, that's very much a sign to back off in the practice, reestablish the breath, and choose movement that allows us to, have very smooth and steady breath. So that's one thing about yogic breathing, and it's called pranayama. Pranayama means that we are bringing control to the breath. And in general, there are just so many health benefits to pranayama, even if we're not doing a physical yoga practice. So we know that pranayama it's actually the only way we know to interrupt the autonomic nervous system and the sympathetic nervous system that has us, in our fight or flight response, that the one that responds to stress. And when we do this type of breathing, it immediately takes us to the calm, to the rest and digest sympathetic nervous system. And it's really a huge gift, because it's, as I said, it's something we can do anytime, anywhere. And I think it's pretty fascinating that it's actually the only way that we can interrupt the nervous system to bring it to a state of calm. So the other benefits of the deep breathing are we're lowering our heart rate as our blood is more oxygenized, the blood that's circulating in the body. It has tremendous cardiovascular benefits. It tones the muscles that we use to breathe, primarily our diaphragm, which is that big muscle that separates the chest and the abdomen, and our abdominal muscles, our intercostal muscles. Those are all toned with the pranayama breath, and it has a way of bringing more clarity to the mind. It helps us release toxins. Obviously, we know on the exhalation that we release carbon dioxide, but it's also all the products of our cellular waste that are released through the breath. And let's see, what else is there? Well, lots of health benefits. But let's get to the how of the breathing now. So we always inhale and exhale through the nose. We establish the length of a comfortable inhalation, and we match the length of the exhalation to the length of the inhalation. Or we could make the length of the exhalation even a little bit longer for extra calming benefits. And excuse me, when we inhale, we want to expand the lowest lobes of the lungs first, and then we bring that breath up in between the ribs And then we bring that breath right up to the top of our lungs, like right up under the collarbones. And we do that without lifting our shoulders. When we exhale, we'll empty the lungs in reverse fashion. So we allow the breath to first leave the top of the lungs, then the area between the ribs, and lastly, the lowest lobes of the lungs. We actually use our abdominal muscles to help squeeze the breath out so that the next inhalation is very pure and new. So the exhalation is just as important as the inhalation. So that's a little bit of background guidance on the breath. And, you know, yogic breathing is practice, just like the rest of yoga. You start out by bringing awareness to it, bringing mindfulness to it. And then during your practice, hopefully over time, you'll spend more and more time, directing the breath and not forgetting about it, okay? And certainly in yoga practice, as I said, allow your breath to be your guide. So let's get to the how. Now, you are welcome to be seated. You are welcome to lay on your back. You can have your knees bent if you like, or your legs stretched out. I would say that if you are sitting, then please elevate your hips so that you can get some length in the spine. It's much harder to breathe if your spine is curved and your kind of chin is coming toward the chest. So go ahead and get comfortable. And I would also invite you to close your eyes. I know for me that helps me turn inward more. So if you feel comfortable doing so, I invite you to close your eyes. And then if you like, one hand can go on your belly and the other hand can go on your heart. And we're going to begin to breathe through our nose in between the hands, in that space between the two hands. So go ahead and just find a nice comfortable length to your inhale. Now notice that the shoulders are not lifting when we're breathing. If that's the case, it means that we're using only the upper part of the lungs, and we really want to be able to keep the shoulders steady and stable, pull down away from the ears, and not incorporate the shoulders in our breathing. So we established a nice rhythm to the inhale. And when we exhale through the nose, we want to make the length of the exhalation, as I said before, the same amount of time. So now, as we inhale through the nose, let's practice sending that breath right down to the lowest lobes. And we'll feel our hand on the belly kind of move away from our spine as we inflate the lungs. Now we want to continue to breathe and bring the breath right up into the area between the ribs. Maybe we'll notice that the ribs expand as well. And then we'll breathe right up under the collarbones. And with a very slight pause, and now we empty the lungs, again exhaling through the nose, but in reverse fashion. So allow the breath to leave the top of the lungs, allow it to leave the middle of the lungs, so maybe we feel our ribs contract here. And as we empty the lungs completely, we'll use those abdominal muscles to squeeze that breath out until we get to a moment of nothing. And the next inhalation, again, through the nose, nice and gradual from the bottom of the lungs to the top. And exhaling through the nose, releasing the breath from the top, again in a very gradual fashion, to the middle, to the lowest lobes of the lungs. Now I want your breath to not match my speaking, but to match what's right for your body. So go ahead and take some nice inhalations and some nice exhalations. As you're doing that, I'm just going to remind you that it's in and out through the nose, that we establish the length of the inhale and match the length of the exhale to that, that we inflate our lungs from the bottom and then gradually fill them toward the top, and we exhale and deflate our lungs from the top, moving down to the bottom of the lungs. Some people find it helpful when they breathe to think about how on the inhalation, the breath seems to ascend or move up the spine as we inflate the lungs from the bottom toward the top, and how the breath seems to descend the spine or go down the spine as we empty them from the top to the bottom. So whatever cueing or visualization helps you with the breath, assists you, use that. What doesn't serve you, just forget about it. So we really want this mindfulness practice to open our body, to calm the mind, and to guide our movement. So I hope this was helpful, and certainly feel free to reach out to me at any time that you have questions, or if you have comments, or anything like that. So I look forward to you using this pranayama off the mat, just to help you be calm, and certainly on the mat to help guide your practice. Namaste.